Hey guys, this is Rajan, and in today's video we're going to have a look at all the questions and answers of the chapter The Last Lesson. Now I have to assume that all of you have a basic understanding about the concept of this chapter, as only then you'll be able to understand the question and answers really well. So let's start with the first one. Who is the author of the chapter The Last Lesson? So who wrote this chapter basically? It was Alphonse Daudet who wrote this chapter. That's what the answer is. The next question is, who won the Franco-Russian War? So Russia won this war. What did little France have to prepare for MML's class? This is our next question. So this basically means, what was France's homework that day? The answer says little France had to prepare questions related to participles for MML's class. So Franz was given a lesson on participles as homework by his teacher Mr. MML. What did blacksmith tell little Franz? So there was a blacksmith in the crowd whom Franz noticed near the bulletin board, and what did he tell him? So here blacksmith told little Franz to slow down a little bit as he had enough time to reach school. Now if you try to understand the deep meaning behind his words, then it probably has to be like the blacksmith already knew that it will be the last French lesson in the school that day. And on a sad day like this, no teacher will scold Franz for being late. The next one is, what did MML say to Franz when he entered the class? The answer is, when Franz entered the class, MML said to Franz, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz, we were beginning without you." So Franz was a bit late for his class, and as soon as he entered, MML told him to sit at his place. The next one is, I started for school very late that morning. Who is I here? So here the I is little Franz. This is nothing but just the first line of this chapter, the last lesson. Question number 7 says, what did Franz think for a moment? So just after leaving home for school, he saw it's a beautiful sunny day. Then what did come to his mind? The answer is, for a moment Franz thought of spending the day outdoors instead of going to school. So for a moment in his mind he was like, let's have some fun in this day rather than going to the school. That thought just vanished in a moment, by the way. The next one is, what was written on the new copies brought by MML for the students? It was going to be the last class of Mr. MML, so he brought a few copies in the class for his students. Now what was written on these? France Elches was written on the new copies brought by MML. So in the new copies, the line France Elches was written in beautiful round hand. Okay, so the ninth question is, what was the name of the blacksmith in the chapter The Last Lesson? So the name of the blacksmith was Watcher. Now make sure you don't write this as W-A-T-C-H-E-R, it's W-A-C-H-E-R. What is the name of the river mentioned in the chapter The Last Lesson? So there was a river's name mentioned in this chapter as well. Which one was that? The name of the river mentioned in the chapter was Sar. So it was the Sar river. What did MML write on blackboard before leaving the class? So what are the things he wrote about on the board just before dismissing the last class? Before leaving the class, on the blackboard, MML wrote Vive la France, which means long live France. So just to show the deep respect towards his country and his language, he wrote Vive la France on the blackboard. Now let's have a look at the question number 12. What did Franz find unusual that morning? That means when he was about to enter inside, he noticed a few strange things. Which were these? The answer is, there was no bustle in the school that morning, and also no sound of opening and closing of desks could be heard. So like a typical day, there was no screaming sound that could be heard. Also the environment near the school seemed to be quiet like a Sunday morning. So how long did MML teach in the school? The answer is 40 years. So MML was there for the school for a very long time, and it was fair enough for him to feel a little emotional. Anyway, the next question we have is, what did MML used to do when he wanted to go for fishing? The answer is, he used to give Franz a holiday when he wanted to go for fishing. Later on the last class, MML did accept the fact that it wasn't a good thing that he did. Where did the order come from of teaching German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine? So as the answer suggests, it was Berlin from where the order came of teaching just German language in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine after France got defeated by Russia in war. The next question is, who were present in the classroom except Franz? So there were some people in the classroom who came to attend the last lesson who were there. An old houser, the former mayor, a former postmaster, and some other villagers were present in the classroom except Franz. So these were the people who came to the classroom. The 17th question is, which is the most beautiful language in the world according to MML? And the answer is, according to M. Hamel, the most beautiful language in the world is French. The next one is, how was the day? So you just have to describe a few lines about how the day was, as Franz mentioned. It was a warm and bright day. The birds were creeping at the edge of the woods and the Russian soldiers were drilling in the field. So when Franz just left for the school, he saw that it was a nice sunny day, the birds were creeping beautifully and some soldiers were working on the field. What was the order from Berlin? This is our next question. And the answer is, the order from Berlin was to teach the German language in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Now, what were the unusual activities that Franz noticed that day? So basically you have to mention about the things that Franz found surprising that day. The answer is, when the school used to begin, there used to be a great bustle, the sound of which could be heard from the street outside. Overall, it used to be a noisy atmosphere, but that day it was completely silence all around. Also, there was no sound of opening and closing of desks. As soon as Franz came near to his school, he felt silence all around like it was a Sunday morning. He found it quite strange as there was no screaming sound of opening and closing of desks. The next one we have is, how did M. Hamel dress that day? So M. Hamel dressed slightly differently that day as he knew it was going to be his last class and it was a special day for him. M. Hamel wore a beautiful green coat, a frilled shirt and a black silk cap that day. Franz was surprised to see M. Hamel in this outfit as he used to dress like this only in inspection and prize days. So as I mentioned, just like an inspection or prize day, the last class was also pretty special for him. In fact, most special for him. That's why he dressed like that. The next question is, why the chapter is named as the last lesson? An order had come from Berlin that only German language will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine and the French language will no longer be taught. Because this chapter is about what happened on the last day of French language being taught in the school, so this chapter is named as the last lesson. So as the name suggests, this was the last French lesson in all the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, as the order from Berlin had come asking to stop studying French from the next day and start studying German language. The 24th question says, why did Franz want to spend the day outdoors? That means, for a moment, why did this thought came to his mind of spending the day outdoors rather than going to school? First, Franz was late for his class that morning and also he hadn't done his homework. And secondly, he saw that it was a bright sunny day. The birds were creeping and the soldiers were drilling, so he wanted to spend the day outdoors. So these things, the environment of the day attracted Franz pretty much to be there rather than going to school that day. Next one is, what was M. Hamel's view on French language? And the answer is, according to M. Hamel, French is the most beautiful language in the world. He also believes that it is the clearest and the most logical language. Question number 26 is, why didn't M. Hamel blame Franz only? It will be only here, not also. I apologize for that. For his inability to learn French. So basically, it's not that all the faults are of Franz, that he didn't learn French. Why does M. Hamel believes that? M. Hamel didn't blame Franz alone for his inability to learn because he knew that it wasn't only Franz's fault. M. Hamel said that some blame should go to Franz's parents who weren't anxious enough to let him learn. They used to send Franz to work on a farm to earn some money. M. Hamel took some blame to himself as well, as he used to give Franz a holiday when he wanted to go for fishing. He also used to send Franz to water his flowers sometimes. So M. Hamel believes, apart from Franz not being serious to learn French, some blame of his condition goes to his parents as well. What did M. Hamel say to his students mounting on his chair? The answer is, mounting on his chair, M. Hamel said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine." So M. Hamel just mounted on his chair and announced it to the whole class that it will be their last lesson, as according to the order of Berlin, only German will be taught from the next day. According to M. Hamel, what was the fault of the people of Alsace? According to M. Hamel, the people of Alsace had a habit of putting off learning till next day. And because of this, they couldn't learn the French language, and now following the order of Berlin, they won't be able to learn it from the next day either. So the people of Alsace always used to keep things to learn for the upcoming day, and with excuses, they could never learn the French language, and now they are regretting that they didn't learn it. Now we should take a lesson from here, by the way, that we should never leave things for tomorrow, especially in case of learning. And all we have is today to work. How did Franz's feelings about M. Hamel and his school change? Franz's feelings about M. Hamel and his school changed drastically when he realized that it was going to be the last lesson on French. He felt sorry for not learning this beautiful language till today. So Fran's feelings changed from thinking about the unusual activities of the schools, like everyone being quiet, MML wearing special dresses, to knowing the fact that it will be the last French lesson. So his feelings changed very quickly. The last question is, give a character sketch of MML. MML is a great character with wisdom, resilience, and passion for education. He is an elderly man with a strong disciplined mind who stays committed to his profession irrespective of the situation. Despite of the defeated situation in the country, MML came with so much pride to attend his last class. MML also has great understanding of French language and he knows about its cultural significance. That's what he described in the story. So as we have studied, MML is certainly a strong character both with his profession and his love for the motherland. He is genuinely committed to it. So these were the questions and answers. I know that this isn't one of my best videos as I have been facing many problems to create right now, but I believe you guys will focus on whatever I have tried to give you rather than looking at my mistakes. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.